Hello and welcome to our 2 days webinar. The topic today will be the new handheld devices XC200 and XC250. So these are the new versions of the, let's say, of the old handhelds C series and E series from Lufft. First of all, something about my person. My name is Manuel Kreissig. I'm working here now at Lufft for 15 years and I'm the responsible person for the technical support and also for trainings, technical trainings. You see my email address, so if you need more information or additional information, you will always be able to send me an email if you want. Anyway, you will be able to enter some questions here during this webinar. In your webinar software on the right side at the bottom you will have a questions box where you can enter your questions, and at the end of the webinar we will discuss these questions together, right? So let's start with the XC200. All the information I will give you are always compared with the E200, which is the old handheld device from Lufft. So the key features are, first of all, of course, we have again a fixed sensor on the XC200, but now we have a higher precision for the measurement. That means the temperature precision now has changed from 0.3 degrees Celsius to 0.2 degrees Celsius, and the accuracy of the relative humidity measurement is now to 2%. In addition, you will be able to get information, value information in metric or in imperial units. This can be calculated by the device. And you will also be able to get information about the mixing ratio in grams per kilograms and of course in grains per pounds. If you want to get the mixing ratio, you have to enter some additional information to the device. For example, if you want to get the mixing ratio in grams per kilograms, then you will have to enter the air pressure. So that will be able, and of course if you want to get the mixing ratio in grains per pounds, you have to enter the local altitude in feet. Also this will be possible. In addition, you will be able to do a 1-point calibration with this device. So that means you will be able to enter an offset for temperature and humidity. So again, maybe to be clear in this XC200 will only be able to measure temperature humidity with a fixed measurement probe. In addition, you will have a glass surface on top of the sensor. Anyway, I will show you the sensor live in a few minutes with our document camera here. So I will show you everything live, all the configuration possibilities and everything. Anyway, so we have a glass surface on top of the sensor, of the device, of the handheld device, and we have a touch-sensitive keypad. That means it's called that we have a touch function. But if you check the sensor incomplete, you will see that there is a part where you will see the values in a display, but this part is not a touch part. So at the bottom you will see the different keys with the arrows and everything, and this is the keypad, which is touch sensitive. Okay. In addition, with the touch sensitive keypad, you will have a color segment LCD display, which will show you the actual values or different types of values in 2 segments, and you will also have 3 different colors. So it's not a complete color display, but it can generate 3 different types of colors. That means white, yellow, and green. In addition, we have also some other things here. For example, which is very new, we have now a USB connector, which we can use to connect the XC200 to a PC, and you can start SmartGraph free there, and you will be able to do an online measurement via the handheld, and you will be able to store this and display this online measurement values and data with SmartGraph free. That's really nice. That's so you can use SmartGraph free as a monitoring software here. So of course we have new energy saving possibilities. everything is developed new, and we have so the possibility to do adjustment of the brightness of the display. And you can do that manually with the configuration if you want, but you have also an auto adjustment of the display brightness. That means if you do not work with the handheld, then automatically the display brightness will be adjusted. And you have, of course, an auto off mode. That means you can configure this if it should be stay on forever or always, or if it should work in auto off mode. That means after 30 minutes it will switch off automatically. In addition, we have a low battery detection, of course. That means you will get an information if the battery is low. Anyway, if you start the new handheld with the button, then you will also get the first information you will get, which will be displayed on the screen, is that the battery capacity. That means you will see a small battery, and if it's a big battery, then it's full, and even if it's smaller and it gets smaller, then of course the capacity is lower of the battery, and then you will be informed that maybe you have to change the batteries. Also, if you switch it on, you will get information about which type of device you are using and the firmware version. Also, a firmware update will be able in the future with the USB port, but now it's not part of the Smart Graph Free software yet. So the measurement values which you can get or which you can calculate are, of course, Celsius Fahrenheit, Celsius degree, dew point, relative humidity in percent, the absolute humidity in grams per cube meters, mixing ratio grams per kilogram, and grains per pound. We have different measurement modes, of course, so you can display or you can hold the value on the screen. You can display the min, the max, the average, and the actual value. I will show you also how to start the cycle, because you can start the cycle when it should start with the min and max and average calculation. For your information, the polling rate, internal polling rate of the sensor is 2 Hertz. That means 2 times per second the sensor or the handheld will measure, right? So I think that's the theory, and now we will switch to the camera and I will show you the handheld XC200 live here. So you will see it here. That's the device. It looks like that. So here's the side view. You see there is a part where you can get or you hold with the hand or with the fingers, specially marked. Then you have the USB port here, the mini USB port to connect it to the PC. And you have the switch on off button here. Then we have the battery place, so you can open this and you can enter the batteries here. We need 4 of them. Close it again. And of course we have the measurement probe here, which is a fixed probe. You can uncover it, and then you see the 2 measurement elements. It's an HC measurement element and an NTC temperature probe. Nothing special here. Of course you can also change the covers. We have different covers with different security levels, one full of metal and one with a metal cover together with the plastic cover, and of course the standard one, which is this one, which is open here. So now we will switch it on. So using the button here, we can switch on the sensor and you will see the name and the battery. You saw that? It's a little bit fast, but so I will show you again. I will switch it off and now have a look on the display when I start it. Then you get information about the device, the firmware, and the battery. See, it's a big battery, so that now the batteries are full. That means if the battery sign or symbol is smaller, then of course the capacity is low of the battery. So if you start it, you will see that we have the measurements on the screen. On top here, we have always the temperature, and under the temperature we will have the other different measurements like humidity or mixing ratio or absolute humidity. So we have here the keypad. Here, that's the keypad. And if you want to switch this first segment, you use this key, the up key here. So, you see that? Now you can switch. If you use it, you switch between temperature in Celsius or degrees or in degrees Fahrenheit. So that's what you can do with this key. Then if you want to switch the second segment, you use the up-down key here, this one. So now with this key, you see you can switch between the different values on the second segment, for example, humidity here, or dew point in Celsius degree here, or dew point in Fahrenheit here, or the absolute humidity in grams per cube meters, or the mixing ratio in grams per kilogram, or in grains per pounds. So that are the possibilities. Now, if you want to configure something, then this is the configure key here, right? You have to know, if you want to configure something, then it depends on what you see on the screen in which menu you will get or you will enter. So you have to switch to the right, let's say, combination of values, and if you use then the configuration button, you will be able to change the configuration of these values you see on screen. So now we have Celsius degrees and humidity in percent, so we use the button here, and now you will see, now we have on the left side this lamp blinking. That means that's the configuration of the brightness. And here you will see the information that, again, it's a little bit fast, so I have to switch back. Always on means that I have to configure the display that it will always be on. If you want to change this, then you use the OK button. Now you can enter the configuration menu and you can switch here with the up and down keys between the configuration. 100 means that's the maximum brightness, and then you can go down 80, 60, and you see the display becomes darker, right? So 20 is the lowest one, and if you use 100, then it will be the maximum, but it will switch off after 30 minutes. But if you want to have the display always on, you go back to always on, and then you use the arrow key and you configure that. That means that you will enter it. So again, back to the configuration menu. Then you see the lamp is blinking, but you want to go to the calculation menu. So you use the left and the right keys here, and you see now it's calculation. Cal1 is blinking. That means you will be able to enter an offset for the temperature. If you go up, if you use Calc2, which is now blinking, Cal2, this is the configuration or the offset of the humidity you want to change. So that's how it works. And now with the so again, I will show you that. If you with the up and down keys, you will be able to enter it. So now enter, for example, 1 degrees. So with up and down and left and right, you can do that. It's easy. Okay, and if it's okay, then you strike at the OK button here in the middle, and that's it. So now, for example, you want to change the mixing ratio. Then you have, of course, first of all, to switch to mixing ratio, for example, gram per kilograms. Then you again go to the configuration menu, and you see now we have an additional configuration possibility, which is the absolute pressure I told you before. And now if you go with the left and right keys to absolute pressure, then you will be able to enter the pressure, and then the value will be calculated with this value, of course. So the same thing for grains per pounds. If you go to the configuration menu, go to the left, you see now you can enter the altitude here in feet. It's blinking, and that's what you can enter. Of course, you can also enter an offset for the temperature here. You see that always if there's Cal1 or Cal2, then you will also be able to enter these offsets. So that's the configuration here of the different parts. At the end, oh, I'm too fast here. At the end, now we have here the actual sign. That means that you will the values which will be displayed on the screen are actual values. But if you want to use hold or average or min and max, you can change with this key again. You see? No, not this one. Sorry. With the left and right key, of course. Now you can go to hold, and now the actual value on the screen will be hold. Or you want to enter or check the maximum value, then you go to the max indication with the left and right keys, min, average, or actual. Again, if you want to have the average, then this is the average value. You can also change again the combination here. In this case, I want to register, for example, Celsius degrees and the humidity. Then we go there, right? And now it's the average, and we want to start the cycle now. Starting the cycle, it means that you use this arrow key and strike it for 2 seconds. And now you get a beep, and now the cycle will start where the average will be displayed. Okay? And you can do that with all the different value types. That means you can do that with average or max. So we will switch now to max, and we can restart the cycle. That's it. Now we start. So that's, I think, all for the handheld here, for this type of handheld. So we go back to the presentation. Alright, so we have now the XC250, which I want to show you now as a second handheld device. First of all, the functionality of the XC200 I showed you before is completely part of the XC250. So it's the same handheld like an XC200, but you have some additional things here. For the XC250, you have in addition you have a pyro sensor for a non-invasive temperature measurement. All right, that's an addition thing, and you have the possibility to configure a dew point alarm mode. That means you can enter thresholds, a low and a high threshold for the dew point, and if you will, let's say, be under this threshold, the device will start an acoustic and optic alarm. An acoustic means that the laser will start to blink. You will hear a beep tone with a certain frequency, and you will also see it on the display. There will be an alarm sign. So that means you have additional measurement modes or functions for the XC250, which is the TH mode, which is the standard XC200 measurement mode for temperature, humidity. Then you have the IR mode, which is the pyro sensor mode, and you have the dew point alarm mode in addition, right? The accuracy of the pyro sensor is plus minus 0.5 degrees Celsius between 0 and 50 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, the accuracy is plus minus 4 degrees Celsius. So I will show you also the XC200 live now. So we've switched back to the camera. So this is the XC200, and this one, now you will see it, is the XC250. So from the housing, it's nearly the same like the XC200. You see here the fixed probe, it's the same thing, but in addition you have two additional things. You have the laser here, and you have the pyro sensor here. So the laser is only used to show you where the pyro will start or try the field where it will measure, right? So we will start it now together. You see again firmware and type, and you see the battery state, it's the same thing, and it will start to measure. So I will put it first in the same condition like the XC200. So this is the TH mode you see here. It's nothing else than the same mode like the XC200. You will be able to show the temperature in this segment and the relative humidity in this segment. You can switch, of course, also between Celsius, Fahrenheit, and you can also activate the mixing ratio and the absolute humidity. Also all the same thing like for the XC200. In addition, you can switch to the IR mode. So we will do that now together with this button, with the up button here. So now you see IR is active. And if IR is active, you will see it, I will show you. You see the laser is active and the pyro is active. And you will see now that, because now my sensor is now measuring the wall temperature, because it's pointing to the wall, the wall temperature is 24.7 degrees here. It's the actual value. You can also switch between actual, hold, min, max, and average. So, of course, you can switch with the down key, also the second segment, between the dew point in Fahrenheit or Celsius degrees. You have the absolute humidity, you have the mixing ratio again, and relative humidity in percent again. So that's to switch for the second segment. It's the same thing like for the XC200, right? So now if you want to change something in the configuration in the IR mode, you can also use the configuration button here. Again, it's the same principle. You have to choose the right combination which you want to use, and if you see that on the screen, you will be able to change the configuration with this button. So now we go enter here, and again you have, of course, always on here. And if you go to Cal 1, which is for the temperature temperature offset, which is this, you will also see E0.95, which is the emissivity value which you can enter. Emissivity means using the pyro, it's depending on the material you are pointing to, and the value 0.95 is a standard value. And that means if you know the emissivity value of the material you are pointing to, really, for example, there are some tables in the internet, you will be able to change that. But there's no guarantee that this will work, right? It's only if you want to try it, maybe you will get a better accuracy in this case, depending on the material. The standard value here in this handheld is 0.95, which should work with all standard materials you're pointing to. If you want to know it better, you can check in the internet if you have a table where you will see all different emissivity values. All right. So going back, you see it's always, the brightness will go down because I'm not working with it. That's the auto brightness function here, right? So it's working. So that's the IR mode. If you want to go to the alarm mode, it's here, IRDP. That's the dew point alarm mode. And you see it here also. There is an alarm button or alarm indication, and this starts to blink if the alarm is working, if it's really inside an alarm. If you want to change here now, of course I told you before that you have two thresholds, a high and a low threshold for the dew point to enter the alarm. Then you have to enter it into the configuration menu. You go to Cal 1, temperature, offset, and emissivity value again, and the next step is, and now the alarm is blinking, that's the configuration menu for the alarm. It's a high threshold and a low threshold, which is configured for 5 degrees. Again, I will go back and show you. 5 degrees, 5 degrees. What does that mean? That means the alarm threshold is sum of the dew point plus the high value and dew point minus the low value. That's the range. For example, that you understand it, if the dew point is 10 degrees and you have configured high and low for 5 degrees, so it starts, the alarm starts at 10 plus 5 means 15, right, degrees, and with a low frequency, and more it's going to the low value, which is dew point 10 degrees minus 5 degrees, it's 5 degrees, then the frequency will become higher. And you will hear that. So it starts with a normal beep, boop, boop, and the more near you are to the lower threshold, it's faster, beep, 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 something like that, okay? And you can configure that here. Again, I will show you. Going to the alarm, the configuration menu, switch to alarm menu, and then you can enter here high and low threshold for the alarm of the dew point. All right. So I think that's it. We will switch back. We will switch back to the presentation. Right. So the last thing I want to show you is the Smart Graph 3 thing. So that means you will be able to connect these handhelds to Smart Graph 3. There is no memory inside these handheld versions. For example, if you compare it with an XA1000, the XA1000 has an internal memory where you can store data, and also graphs, that means also curves, can be stored as a picture file. But this XC200 and XC250 has no memory. The only thing which is possible, you can connect it to Smart Graph with a USB cable, and you can start an online measurement. If you start an online measurement with Smart Graph, then automatically the values will be transferred to Smart Graph and be displayed in a diagram or in the table, depends on how you have configured the Smart Graph view, right? The requirement for Smart Graph is that you use the actual version. So you need to use minimum version 2.6.1, which is the actual version of Smart Graph, so that the handhelds will be recognized. So using Smart Graph 3 means that it's easy to use. You have the online queries available here. You will be able to create numerical and graphical graphs and representations, of course. You will be able, like it's the standard thing for Smart Graph 3 anyway, you can export the measurement data, so for example in Excel, right? And you will be able to print these data, and it's included in the delivery here. So these are the features of Smart Graph together with the handhelds. Questions? So now it's your turn. If you have some questions, we can discuss that. I think there are no questions. Nobody has some questions, but you have, of course, some additional seconds where you can think about it. Maybe. Ah, there is one. Okay. Is the accuracy the same over the full range? Which accuracy? The accuracy of the temperature of the XC200? Yes. Here. That's the temperature, and that's the accuracy for the complete measurement range here for the fixed sensor of the XC200, and of course also for the fixed sensor of the XC250. If we talk about the accuracy of the pyrometer, is different. I told you before, the pyro sensor has a accuracy range between 0 and 50 degrees, where you have an accuracy of plus minus 0.5 degrees. Otherwise, so out of this range, it's plus minus 4 degrees. For the relative humidity, it's a full range information, so the plus minus 2% is over the full whole range, 0 between 100%. Maybe some additional thing I forget to tell you, the offset. That means you can enter a temperature offset or also a humidity offset. So the range for the offset is, for the temperature, is plus minus 10 degrees, which you can enter in the offset for the 1-point calibration, and for the humidity it's plus minus 30%. Okay. So we have also some additional questions again. So, laser, does it indicate the center of the measuring spot? Yes, it's the center here in this case. That means that you know where the center of the pyrometer will spot or hit the material, right? The distance factor, indication, I do not know it by mind, but it's mentioned in the manual. So you can, because I think the English manual is not ready yet. If you want to know it, please write me an email. I can check it and I will send you the information here. But it's mentioned in the manual. So, but for your information, the distance factor is better than the old E200. We improved that, of course. So that means that we have a better distance factor for this IR version than the E200 IR. Okay. But it's described very good in the manual. So if you will check the manual, you can get this information. Okay, so I think there are no other questions. So I thank you for your time. I hope it was interesting for you. Please check for new webinars in the future, right? And yes, thank you very much and bye-bye.